outside the
It's a cloudy afternoon. Hello.
Hello, hello. All right, good afternoon, everyone. Is it afternoon? Good afternoon, everyone. All right, thank you so much for coming, and thanks for your patience. We're about to start the press, to read the press release and the statement. This is basically just for the KDI Election Day data room. These are our preliminary observation of the process, which is more of the first half or first part of the day. And basically, it just speaks to us the processes and procedure. While the team has the data gathering, verification, and analysis center are still doing a lot around tracking the other part, which borders around sorting, resort management process, and the like. So that's just basically that. I think at this point, I will just hand it over to the chair of the EDDR faculty to read the statement. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My very distinguished colleagues, members of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Today, we commend the dedication of Edo State citizens who have come out to exercise their civic duty amidst the palpable tension in the pre-election phase leading to this election. We also recognize the commitment of the National Youth Service Corps members and the other ad hoc staff who continue to play a crucial role in upholding democracy in Nigeria. This press statement aims to inform the public and key stakeholders about the key findings and observations of Kimpact Development Initiative regarding the election day processes, electoral violence, and potential for violence during the 2024 Edo off-cycle governorship election. KDI is a civil society organization implementing the Nigeria Election Violence Education and Resolution Project in the 2024 Edo State off-cycle governorship elections with the support of the United Kingdom Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office. KDI established an election security early warning system in the 18 local government areas of Edo State, assessing the pre-election environment to identify early warning, deploying week in, week out security information that feed into the EWS based on globally accepted indicators that have been tested in over 11 countries through the IFET's EVA methodology. In the last 9 months has been tracking and documenting issues of electoral violence and the potential for violence across the countries. KDI uses data-driven advocacy and bilateral engagements with the election stakeholders, party leaders, sociocultural leaders, security forces, and other civil society organizations to mitigate electoral violence. KDI in the early stage had identified electoral risk factors, early warning signals, potential causes and triggers of electoral violence so that stakeholders like INEC and security agencies can deploy appropriate responses and of course strategies. For today's election, KDI has set up an election day data room to gather and analyze prime information from trained observers across the states. Our goal is to document incidents of electoral violence and assess the overall electoral environment. KDI has also deployed 431 trained observers across the 18 local government areas and the 192 wards in the states, who are sending live updates and evidence to our data analysts to verify and analyze accurately. Key observations and, of course, findings. The data room noted the relative adequacy in policing structure and professionalism in this ongoing election. So far, there has not been widespread breakdown of law and order, owing that the process had been relatively peaceful in the early hours of the day. We have also seen largely the enforcement of restriction of movement and roadblocks, but the officers were professional to allow movement of essential workers in most of the local government areas. While we have also noted emerging issues like vote buying, leading to voter and citizens being agitated, which is a potential for violence, KDI EDDR will continue to track this developing story to know if such potential for violence had led to violence or not. Potential for violence. One, logistical challenges for INEC officials. Logistical issues continue to impact the electoral process. We noted delays in the deployment of ad hoc officials in some registration area centers to polling units, raising questions about what went wrong. It was rightly observed in RACs, such as Abado Primary School, Akpapava Road, Oredo LGA, and Model Primary School close to Stella Obasanjo Hospital, Ikpoboka LGA, that limited vehicles were available. Some of these vehicles were rickety and inadequate, forcing officials to be transported in multiple trips. By 9:30 a.m., some officials had still not left their rack centers, which resulted in late commencement of poll in those areas. Addressing these questions is vital for ensuring a smoother electoral process in the future. These logistical gaps not only disrupt the election process, but also create opportunities for misinformation, as anxious voters may wrongly assume that election materials or officials have been compromised. It is imperative that both INEC and the National Union of Road Transport Workers collaborate effectively to prevent such disruptions and ensure a seamless electoral process. 2, late arrival of election materials. KDI field observers reported significant delays in the arrival of election materials and the commencement of voting at some polling units. Observations indicate that election materials arrived at polling stations between 8:30 a.m. and 9:30 a.m., with voting commencing between 9 a.m. and 10:30 a.m. While the late deployment of election officials and materials from racks contributed to these delays, it was compounded by a heavy downpour, which further disrupted the process. In Esan West, Esan Southeast, and Owan West, heavy rainfall in the early hours of the day delayed both the arrival of INEC officials and the participation of voters, many of whom were forced to seek shelter from the rain. In riverine areas, crossing to polling units was also hindered by the adverse weather conditions, preventing timely access. Additionally, we observed that voting in Uhogbe South, Orionwo local government area was further delayed due to the non-availability of result sheets, which prevented the polls from commencing on time. These logistical and weather-related challenges underscore the need for better contingency planning to ensure the timely start of elections regardless of external factors. Number 3, security concerns. Security personnel seem to have a high presence in the state, assuring citizens of a peaceful process. This also includes the presence of NDLEA, the military, and the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps. However, there was a lack of security personnel available to accompany INEC staff in Oredo, which raised concerns about the protection of ballot boxes. These are some of the instances that can result in violence. Weather-related transportation issue. KDI field observers reported rainfall in some areas around Ego, Oredo, Igweben, Ovia Southeast, Uhumde, Owan East Central, Esan Northeast, and Esako Central. The weather hindered both transportation to riverine areas and delayed INEC staff further. And of course, this complicated the delivery of materials and delayed the opening of polling units. Recall KDS pre-election security risk assessment report had brought to the attention of INEC of the probability of 4 to 5 hours of rain on election day today. Vote buying and vote selling. The political class in Nigeria continues to evolve strategies for vote buying, a practice that has become increasingly prominent in the nation's elections. KDI's election day data room received multiple reports of vote buying across all the 3 senatorial districts in Edo State during governorship election. In several local government areas, vote buying was more of systemic open transactions. Nevertheless, there were cases of opening of votes for cash and material goods, with some ranging from 1,000 naira to 10,000 naira. In some instances, voters were observed entering shops that appeared to be conducting regular business. However, this large number of voters visiting these shops suggested otherwise. Our observers also witnessed instances where party agents and voters engaged in electronic money transfer, further indicating the ongoing prevalence of vote buying during the election. This disturbing trend has caused the need for more stringent measures to curb vote buying and ensure the integrity of the electoral process. In Igbobaoka and Ego, the military and Department of State Service operatives were brought in to conduct investigations into the allegations of vote buying. Conclusion: KDI urges the Independent National Electoral Commission that due to the heavy downpour and some RACs that experience delay in movement to polling units, identify these areas and ensure all voters on the voting queue vote before closing the poll, and ensure that all measures are in place in case voting entered into the night. We have called on security agencies to ensure that as we move into the second phase of the process, which will involve vote sorting and counting, to remain professional and without fear or favor. We also call on security agencies to critically investigate any form of vote buying and selling, to further the likelihood of violence that could interrupt the free flow of voting. Ensuring that citizens can exercise their rights freely and fairly is paramount to the integrity of our democracy. We remain committed to advocating for a transparent electoral process and will continue to monitor developments as the day progresses. Call to action. urge all stakeholders, including INEC, political parties, security agencies, and the electors, to uphold the rule of law and ensure a peaceful atmosphere as the elections progress. We urge security agencies to be on the lookout for traders of votes, for possible caution and or arrests where necessary, to uphold the integrity of the 2024 off-cycle Edo State governorship elections. We encourage media outlets to promote peace and verify every information that is made available to them to counter misinformation that could incite violence. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you once again. We would like to, if you have questions, you kindly just signify with your hands, then we'll recognize you. And when you speak, please introduce yourself, particularly your organization. Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Doris Otuiwu from Youth of the Street Initiative. I have a question. Actually, I came in late, but I think I will take it as an observation, which I witnessed at the field. The weather is, I think, is a very big challenge, whereby even the INEC officials, where they are being carried out the work, the rain disturbed them. They had to move into people's house, and they are being chased away. The owner of the house demanding for money from INEC. If you cannot pay me, you can't use my house to do any election. Take your things and get out of my place. Go and stand on the rain. So even the INEC, all their materials, some other things there, you know, it's kind of, I don't know how to put it, but it's too bad. I think INEC should do better by providing at least a backup in case unforeseen circumstances, this kind of situation, when it comes, there should be a solution immediately. Not witnessing what we saw there, fights, disruption, you know, the people around the area fighting the man, and he still stands on his ground. This is my property, it's not government property. Either you pay me or you take your materials out of my place. Thank you very much. Igu Street, and also in the morning, we witnessed the same at 8:80. Ward 2, Unit 8 and 9, the owner of the beer parlor locked INEC staff out, told them, you pay me, you did that last year, you will pay me before you enter my property. It's not government property. So that also took time before INEC people should get access to the place and start arranging their stuff. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So my name is Israel Debi from Super FM. Something to mention though, Mr. Jide Ojo can be of help. There was a training we had in the build-up to the conduct of this election, and it seems it played off yesterday. As of yesterday, when it was, campaign was officially over, but news came out that Umide Akwata has stepped down, okay, for the PDP candidates. I think minutes after that, another came out that the Supreme Court in Abuja has invalidated the candidature of the APC candidate. Just a few minutes after that, another came out that the PDP candidate is out of the race because of voters' card forgery. Now, all this transpired at a timeline when this political candidate cannot react because campaign officially is over. Yes, they gathered the press to make some statements, but some of us were very weary to go out to the press with those statements because campaign was over. So I think it's becoming a ploy by political actors to just last minute, when you can hardly issue a statement to address some of these things, they come out to the public and issue those statements. And people get swayed away and say, oh, this person has stepped down for the other candidate. Okay, I won't vote for that person again, and all that. So I don't know what INEC is doing. I know you are not INEC rep, but maybe when you're putting your fact-finding reports together, you can actually say something to that effect. Should INEC give some timeline in case we have such misinformation for those candidates to rebuff or speak about, address some of those issues? Or what do we do? Do we just accept when all those misinformation comes out? Should we accept it? And as media organizations, you know, NBC will sanction us when we air something after the campaign time is out. So how do we balance it? So that's mine.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Chinedu Ekeja. I work with KUFM. First of all, I want to commend the KDI for their work. I was here yesterday for the press briefing, and quite very precise. Their prediction about the turnout of voters today came very, like it was a reality, like it came very real. They predicted that it may not be up to 20% of what happened in the last election, but I think it's even far below. Far below. I spoke to about 5 people today, including voters and key political stakeholders. I just wanted to find out their impression about the voter turnout, and the complaint they all had were about the level of confidence in the electoral process. They all complained about the same thing. I don't know, some of our foreign observers are late already. I wanted to get their input on this, but I wanted to find out. Now, the essence of engagement like this is to give feedback to the electoral umpire and others, the key stakeholders, particularly the INEC. And this has been happening over the years. In your analysis yesterday, in Osun State election 2022 and Ekiti State, the turnout and the amount of irregularity were quite low. And the same thing happened in 2020. Fast forward to 2023 and then 2024, where we are now. 2023, Kogi State and Imo State, your data said something different. Then instead of improvement, about decline in the amount of irregularity in the election. So instead of improving, which shows that the electoral process did not improve or is not improving. And we're all seeing a similar thing when you analyze your data. So I want to know the kind of engagement, how you give your feedback to the electoral umpire, particularly the INEC, when you are done collecting this data. Do you want to consider changing your mode of engagement? Is it like you collect this data, you write to them officially, or is there a platform like this where they about it? Hearing, we are going to do this, we are going to do this. And every year, the same thing happens. Like in an election in Kogi State and Imo State, people have their reasons, especially observers, local and foreign observers, as the processes, in the election. So we've not yet to see such here in Edo State, but the turnout alone speaks volume about the amount of confidence in the electoral process, by voters. So I don't know if it's the same engagement process you are going to repeat when you are giving your back to INEC, or you want to do something differently. And I wanted to ask some of our foreign observers too, if there is a way they can help to escalate feedback, because I know they are the funders of some of these engagements. And it doesn't make sense that you're plowing your resources into a process or into a project that don't seem to bring a positive result over time, which is what's happening. Thank you.
Thank you. I think
thank you very much for your comments and questions. Don't forget, my dear brother who spoke last, don't forget that INEC itself has a situation room in Abuja, and they also receive feedback. The question is how much they weigh and act on this feedback. There is nothing reported that has not been reported in previous off-cycle elections. We had one in November, 3 in November last year. So the engagement continues. There are quarterly stakeholder engagement at the level of the state, between society and the INEC, and we will continue to tell them the whole essence of this conference is also to have this statement will also go to them, so they are going to be aware. To my brother that talked about being caught in the web of whether to report what was obvious case of misinformation Um, um, Austin, what's the other one? Disinformation and misinformation. You need to understand that there's a world of difference between campaign and news. What came out yesterday was not campaign. Nobody was saying vote for me. Nobody was saying, I will do this, I will do that. It's legit for you to react. And there were reactions that were also published online and in the media from the media offices of those candidates. When the media office of Olumide Akwata came out to say he has not stepped down for Aso Igbodalu, the one concerned Okpebolo was also debunked by the APC media team to the effect a magistrate does not even have the power to attain issues about disqualification. It's within, it's not within the jurisdiction, and even the magistrates never gave that order. But it's part of the intrigues, political intrigues that usually play out when people will tell you, oh, this person has stepped down for me, knowing full well that they want to do that to their own advantage. But we as reporters must also be wary and do our fact-checking very well. All the candidates have campaign offices. When you hear or you see that kind of report, it's for you to cross-check with their campaign office to know whether it was true. We do know in the course of this week, about 5 political parties endorsed the candidate of APC. And they did that in the open glare of the media to say, we have stepped down and we are endorsing this particular person. And they never came out to debunk that they did or they didn't. But professionally, what is expected of you when you see an information that you have doubt about the credibility is to fact-check. Fact-check with the campaign office, fact-check with your colleague who may have access to the right information. I think that is not going to be my own reaction. Thank you.
Okay, maybe so. But first, so that was put. It was not a Supreme Court. Because what people need to understand that election comes with its own information, and one of the greatest bane electoral system right now is electoral disinformation, and it has a potential of swaying people's vote, particularly voters. Each one of them that was releasing statement or court or any one of them was intended to raise their own portfolio. You should understand that. But as media, each time media organization rush to publish information, again, I want to use the word I've always used, breaking news. You want to rush to break it, you may end up breaking out. Sometimes we don't take time to just make that one call to be sure that this is not true. When before Akpata released the press statement, a phone call to the national officer had already done that job. So you won't publish it. That's on one side. But more importantly is the use of private facility. It is, if not for the rain, it is actually not within. INEC does not use a private facility for electoral process. It has to be a public space. But the rains, that location of the PU is supposed to be a public facility because it's not within the beer parlor. The reason is that that beer parlor owner may belong to a political party. What that means is that that political party will now be scared of going into that point. But like you said, you didn't pay me the last time you used it. This time you will pay me. But I think, I agree with you, contingency, which KD had actually said yesterday and has written to INEC previously to say this election, there will be rain. So it was clear, but if INEC went ahead to still go ahead to deploy with the intention to say maybe they will hold the rain, I don't know how they will hold it. Nobody can control rain. It is a natural, and you won't blame INEC for the fact that it rained? Yes. So it was already a focus, and KDI had raised it. And I thank my brother for the prediction. I mean, already seen. But already more is like confidence and a trust in the electoral system, and of course, democracy. That's why beyond it also to electoral officials improve the confidence in democracy. All that we are doing at the level of NGO and all the others is to spotlight that result to decline, attempt to fire democracy by holding people accountable. So, for instance, all these things we have here, including tactics for vote bank transfer at the gate. In fact, at the gate, there's a new one. I was in Mr. President. At the gate, in one of the locations, these agents are there. They are not agents. They don't have to, so we won't call them agents. But party members. Canvassers. In fact, one of them. Well, that, please don't record it. Canvassers. You know what I mean? For using that. I'm only just saying that's the right. This is the entrance to the polling unit. Is it polling unit 1 or 31 or 32? Which one are you going? An attempt to, and they spoke in local language in certain areas. They will take them to the polling. While taking them to the polling unit, they are negotiating the deal. This is a new one that was not in previous election. Canvassing before happened at home. You canvass them to the polling unit. Now they are now waiting for them at the polling unit. And meanwhile, the law says no campaign at the polling ground. They will tell you they are not campaigning, but that's what actually campaigning, because that individual there is a party member. Though he's not wearing a tag, he's actually asking, because he's not an INEC official. An INEC official have a role. They call, there's a fourth person on the INEC, which is called the control officer. That individual will assist in responding to voters in need of assistance. But in this case, parties have developed that strategy to take over this queue assistance job. So overall, as media, as the press statement has said, the media will have to educate people. We need more education. Voting is still on, and we like to, like the statement has said, we commend those state people. Election is peaceful. Please come out and vote. This vote is very important for the state of Edo, and I believe that between now and 2:30, when originally they will be ending, more people will turn out to vote. Media, please go out, report that people should come out and vote.
An update that came from INEC at exactly 1:50 p.m. today. I'm subscribed to the INEC platform. They have statement there will be an extension of voting time in areas where process commenced late. That is the standard operating procedure. But whether this information on the field, who may not be on the platform, or whether they can reach out to them to inform, remains to be seen. But officially, they have a reaction, and they have started quite early in many places. There are also significant places where there are actually there will be extension of time of. But I thought I should just bring that to our attention.
Yeah, I think that aligns with the statement we have released, where we appeal to the election management body to extend, and they have actually listened and they've done the needful. It's very important, like earlier speakers have said, that before we rush to report, before we rush to publish, a key feature of good story is that it must be verifiable. It must have fact, and it must represent the truth. Now that we have what we call global information disorder, and that is fake news. is invoked, and this is the electoral process, it thrives more in this kind of system, you know, so we must be extremely careful so that we don't also inflame the politics. Very, very important, you know. I don't know if we still have somebody that has a question. If we don't, we can end and hopefully we progress. There is need for us to reconvene. We certainly will do that as our people are out there, and from this table some of us will still return to the field and see what is going on. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the election observers in the field that have joined us, I hope you tell us clearly